Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
We are live. Okay. So,
Not. Oops.
yeah, that's true. Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Boy, if you don't get your...
The various buttons will be explained in order of their importance.
Please. I don't need a drum roll.
Yeah. Oops.
Alright, so...
Hey, it's Pikachu.
Pikachu!
It's explaining the deep lore of Pokemon.
So this is gonna be kind of a chill, very chill live stream.
Yeah.
I'll have the mic here. I will hold the mic. This episode is gonna be focused on just talking about generations with game consoles.
Yeah.
We'll go from the first gen to the latest, which is PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Wii U. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Also, I will probably be putting more emphasis on the 6th generation, but I might not. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's start with the first gen.
Which was.
It was the first generation of game consoles, which was the Magnavox Odyssey, the Fairchild Channel F, and I think the there was a lot more. Like, that was the generation when gaming was not relatively known, so gaming was still trying to get up on its feet.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest console in that generation was the Magnavox Odyssey, which was the very first home video game console. Also, love the name. Also, we're just playing Pokemon because it's a pretty chill game.
Yeah. Background noise, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty much just background noise. Generat.
No, it's Gene.
Gene Rat. All right, cool.
I tried to put it as much as generations as I could.
That's fine.
Because that's what we're kind of calling this.
Yeah, this is gonna be the title of the video. Title of pretty much this video. Anyway.
This idea.
But the first generation was pretty weird because it was mostly just Pong. Like, everything was pretty bare bones. Nothing was really established yet.
That was back when computers were still pretty. They were pretty new, like very new in terms. They weren't a public thing, obviously, and only really colleges had them. So they could only program such simple things because computers were still new and they didn't really know what to do.
Also, my phone dropped.
Yeah, it was such a great fact that the phone dropped.
My phone said yeet.
And so the simplest game to make was Pong because it was very simple. You had a few hitboxes and a simple score, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, other than like a text game where you just enter in inputs, that's probably the simplest game you can make.
Yeah, basically, the best console from that generation was obviously the Magnavox Odyssey because it was the most successful and it was the most well known. And honestly, I think it's the only one that most hardcore gamers know.
Yeah, thanks to James Rolfe, obviously.
Yeah, thanks to
Doing
people
doing videos on it because it is the most successful. It's the most well known.
Yeah. So that's the first generation. Not much can be said about it. But if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have any others. So there you go. Then you move on to the second generation, which is Atari 2600, ColecoVision, and the Intellivision. Now, the Atari, when it first came out, it was a major game changer, no pun intended, simply because of the fact that it had interchangeable cartridges. It had games that weren't just Pong, and yes, thank you, this is amazing.
Yeah, just entering whatever comes to mind when I was naming Pokemon and people, and he always picks your opposite. So yeah. But yeah, at this point, they were getting a better grasp on how to make games.
Yeah.
Complicate like not as complicated as now, but still like space shooters, Pac-Man, like on the Atari, that kind of thing.
Now,
Obviously, if you covered arcades, it'd be a bigger picture.
yeah, this would be a way bigger picture if it was arcade, but we're just talking about home video game consoles.
Yeah, because they're easier to kind of cover based on things.
Yeah. But the ColecoVision and Intellivision had better graphics, but it was the age-old saying that good graphics don't make a good game, because good God, the controller for the Intellivision and ColecoVision were abysmal.
Yeah.
They were pretty bad.
They had the number pad.
Yeah, they were the
Like
one.
a-
Yeah, it looked like a TV remote, and it also the I think the Intellivision though let you
Yeah, didn't it let you plug in a Atari controller?
yeah, it did actually.
Which obviously that's the only time period I think they can do that kind of thing.
Yeah, because you cannot. I mean, you can do that nowadays, but
Kind of.
you have to mod everything, and you also have to.
Yeah.
Not many
There's
people know about it.
There's adapters if you're on the PS4 controller. You can either use the cord or use like a adapter.
Yeah.
Bluetooth adapter.
Yeah. But yeah, the I think the weirdest thing about that era was just the fact that there were so many games coming out that it was kind of an oversaturation of the market. Like you'd see games that nowadays no one knows about. No one knows about these games. Like for example, I have a lot of 2600 games, and most of them suck ass.
Yeah.
Some of them are good, like Pac-Man. Everyone shat on Pac-Man when it first came out on the Atari, but it's actually a decent port. Like, yeah, it looks bad, but it's Atari. It plays just fine.
Yeah, I think it was mostly because they went from arcade to Atari. So that was such a jarring thing. That
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, come on, that's not," you know. But I think the other weirdest thing about that era was just there wasn't much competition at the time.
Yeah.
Like Atari, like yeah, sure, Intellivision and ColecoVision were there, but they weren't.
Atari.
Yeah, they weren't Atari. They weren't, you know.
If you were making a game, you were probably putting it on Atari.
Yeah. And there's probably some decent games on Intellivision, like the Dungeons and Dragons series on there. I heard was really good, and you know, all that. But Atari pretty much won that era. They were that era. And then something a little weird happened in 1983. The video game crash of 1983 occurred.
Yeah.
And basically what that was all about, I guess we'll talk about this too, because I mean it's important.
Important for consoles, especially.
Yeah. This was when Atari and Mattel and Coleco, the big three basically, they were putting so many games on their consoles, and so many games that, you know, people didn't know were bad, but when they got them, yeah, they were like, well, this is shit.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, we're gonna take all these games back because we don't want them. And plus, they were saying, well, if this is how all games are gonna be, then why would I want to play video games anymore?
Yeah, there was no reviews. Well, there were, but not really. It wasn't a big enough thing yet to where people could look at them and find them easily to see if a game was good or not. It's not like Nintendo Power where they had like little reviews.
Yeah. And I think the thing that, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back was probably when E.T. came out.
Oh yeah.
And I think everybody pretty much knows about E.T.
The most infamous bad game.
Yeah, I feel like everybody knows about E.T., but
Also, of all movies, why E.T.?
yeah, I don't
Very weird on that game.
I don't understand that
swerved it.
like at all. But yeah, like the video game crash was just basically too much supply and not enough demand, I think.
Yeah.
I would say so. Like, there was just way too many games coming out that nobody cared about, and then it just all crashed. It almost ended. Like, people looked at video games as a fad at that point. Like, they were like, well, this was just a fad, and it's going out now. So now we're gonna move on to whatever the next big thing is, and then something also kind of crazy happened, but this was over in Japan. The Famicom, which is the Japanese NES, it came out and in Japan, and it was a huge success. Like, people in Japan loved it. But over here, they didn't want to release it too soon because they knew that the video game crash was occurring in the West, and they didn't want to fail because of the crash. They wanted to wait it out and see if Americans, or really anyone in North America for that matter, would want to own a game system again. And Nintendo did this beautifully, I think. And we're gonna move on to the third generation, actually. In 1984, Sega released their SG-1000, which was released here, but nobody really cared about it. It was a weird console, and I don't know much about it. All I know about it is that it had decent games on it, and there was people that played it, but not many. And funny story. The NES, the Famicom in Japan, and the SG-1000, which I think was called the Mark III. I don't know what it was called in Japan, but they were released on the same day, unknowingly. Like, they were released on the same exact day, and they didn't even know about it. And then that's where the rivalry basically started, was on that day in 1983. And then in 1984, I believe Sega released the SG-1000 in America, and that didn't really do much. But then Nintendo said, okay, what can we do to release this console in the West, because it is a huge deal here in Japan. So we want to release it because we want to make more money, because at the time Nintendo still was relatively small, like here in America. In Japan they were already a big deal, but
yeah, they're also a really old company, but the gaming wasn't a thing that they did.
Yeah, it wasn't. And they pretty much just said, okay, we're gonna have to redesign it, because those of you who don't know, the Famicom was red and gold, and if you know what the NES looks like, then you can compare and contrast. But the Famicom is like night and day compared to the NES. Like, they look totally different.
Yeah.
They are the same system though. They really are. Like,
believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
They are.
But anyway, so the NES was redesigned to look more like a VCR, or not necessarily a VCR, but just an entertainment system, like something that you could put in your living room, and something that didn't look like a video game console, something that looked more along the lines of a cassette player, or like I said, a VCR. And it worked. It worked beautifully, actually, because they showed it off and people were they were skeptical, but they were also excited. And they also marketed it towards kids and basically said it was a toy instead of a video game console.
Yeah.
And what they did was they included, I believe they included launch NESs with Rob the robot, which, looks like a toy. So they were like, okay, we'll make it look like a toy. We'll make the system look like a toy. That way it will, parents will be like, okay, we'll buy this for our kids because it's something that they want. Yeah. And then once people figured out that it was a video game, they're like, oh, it's a video game? But then by that point, they were playing Super Mario Brothers already, and everyone knows how good that game is. I don't even have to say anything.
It's still one of the best-selling games ever.
Ever. And And in, I think about the same year, in 85 or maybe 86, Sega knew that their console wasn't doing very well, and they decided to release the Sega Master System, which I think was called the Mark III in Japan. I think it was, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong on that, but Sega released it in 85, and I think they released it everywhere else in 86. And it didn't do as poorly as the SG-1000, but it still wasn't up to snuff with the NES. Like, the NES was a juggernaut. Like, this thing, when it came out, everybody wanted it. Everybody. There wasn't a single person that did not want this thing, because it brought video games back into the mainstream and back into the public.
Back from the grave.
Back from the grave. Like, and it's not just Nintendo that did this. Sega had a hand in this, doing this too, because they, they released their console the same year, so they couldn't have known. Because Sega didn't look at Nintendo as a rival yet, so they couldn't have just seen like what they were doing and be like, okay, well, we'll release a console too, but they didn't do that. But anyway, so the Master System had a lot of good games. I own a lot. There's a lot of games on there that are arcade ports, and they're actually done pretty well. They're optimized pretty well. But the NES was just too much. Like, it was just game after game after game. Like Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, Punch-Out, Mega Man 2, Castlevania. Just so many games. So many games. And then you can't forget about the black box games, the Excite Bike and Hogan's Alley, Duck Hunt. Just so many great games were released on that. I mean, a lot of shit was released on there too, but
a lot of like pirating, just cartridges getting around.
Oh yeah. And I think the Master System had more quality, but the NES had more quantity, I feel. Like on Master System, like the Master System was not only that, but it also was the more powerful machine. It had better graphics, and people knew this. People knew this. They still went with the NES because it was more. It was just more popular. Really. And plus, Nintendo had an edge because they released their console a year before Sega did, so Sega was like, well, shit, okay.
We were second, so we'll get second.
Yeah. So Sega was like, okay, we have to do something incredibly fast. And this is where our opinions are gonna come in, because the first 3 generations were good and all, but it's not familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah.
If I had to pick between the Master System and the NES, honestly, I would go with Master System.
I would go with NES. Mostly for Mario. I think the first Mario 1 through 3 are really, really good games. Especially Mario 2. Mario 2 is like classic, like unbeatable.
Oh yeah.
And all the Mega Mans are classic. Castlevania 1 and 3, not really 2. Still 1, 2, 3, 1 and 3. Zelda 1, maybe not 2. But
Hey, 2's okay.
2 is but yeah, I think there's just more classic games everyone kind of knows and loves and have gone on for longer.
Yeah.
I did play some of the Master System, because you have them.
Yeah.
And there were some fun games.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think the thing Sega had over Nintendo was its amount of arcade ports, like Space Harrier, Outrun, Thunderblade, a really good port of Double Dragon. Like, that was an amazing port.
Yeah.
That Alex Kidd game that you played was really good. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was weird how you had to play through all the levels twice. And they were harder the second time, but
yeah.
it was still a fun game. I enjoyed it.
But yeah. Then we move on to the 4th generation, which is Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and the TurboGrafx 16. We're not even gonna talk about Atari really, because by this point they were just kind of
Not doing anything really that great.
yeah, they weren't doing anything really at all. Not to say that the 7800 was a bad system, it was just kind of boring. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, not everyone really thinks about it when they think of it.
Yeah. But 4th gen, by this point, that was my phone.
It's phone went off.
It's probably the most important generation besides the first. Or well,
I would also say the 3rd.
yeah, 3rd and 4th are probably the big boys, like the most important.
Yeah. Where everyone started really knowing what they were doing.
Yeah, so Sega started, they knew that their console wasn't doing as well as NES at the time, and then in Japan they released the Sega Genesis in 1988, and then 89 in the West, which when I think of the 4th generation, I always think of the early to mid 90s.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, but the Sega Genesis released in the late 80s, and I never thought of it that way, but
Tail end of the 80s.
the tail end of the 80s, like they knew they needed to get a console out fast, and they wanted to make sure that it was like as good as possible. They wanted it to be very high tech for the time, and they did. It was very, like, when it came out, it turned a lot of heads.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like, everybody was like, wow, that's like almost perfect to the arcade. And then Sega started beating Nintendo for a second there. Like,
Yeah, they honestly actually did.
they started beating Nintendo, especially right after Sonic the Hedgehog came out.
Yeah, because Sega realized that Mario was their mascot.
And they
Like, we need a mascot.
yeah, we need a mascot, and so they went and said, okay, well, instead of Mario, who is a plumber and he's, you know, kind of, you know, happy and go lucky and everything, we'll make Sonic, who is cool and has an attitude.
90s.
And, yeah, basically just
Kind
90s.
of just 90s, which was actually really cool.
Yeah, for the time, like, everybody was like, holy shit, okay. Yeah, but I just think it's funny looking back at it now. It's just,
Honestly, some of my favorite commercials are some of the older Sonic commercials.
oh yeah.
Especially the one in Japan with like the claymation Sonic that was really creepy.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I think I've seen that before, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what they were on when they made that one.
But anyway, so as far as so after the Genesis came out, Nintendo was like, okay, all right, they're getting better, they're getting really good at this point, so we're gonna fire back, because I don't think Nintendo really, I don't know if they planned on releasing the Super Nintendo when they did,
I don't know.
because, you know, as far as Nintendo knew, their NES was just fine. You know, you didn't need to make a better one.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I've always thought about that too. Like, no one ever talks about that.
Yeah. Although when Super Nintendo was about to come out, there was that whole controversy where it was like, I need to buy another console? What the heck?
Yeah, like,
It
yeah.
was like a sequel console, so people were weird and upset about it, and I don't know why they were.
That's kind of.
Because the Genesis was basically the sequel to the Master System.
Yeah, but.
But I guess since it didn't share a name, pretty much.
Yeah.
I know it made the connection with that.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, gaming was still kind of new, so the idea of releasing a new console with better hardware was really weird. A really weird idea no one expected.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
There we go. So, what were some games on Genesis and SNES that were really good? Mario World, obviously.
Yeah, well, duh.
Mario World was amazing. If you don't like Mario World, what the heck are you doing?
I was just making sure the stream was okay. I think my Wi-Fi, or not my Wi-Fi, but my 4G's kind of messed up. So we're good though. I think we're good.
I believe. I mean, I'm on it. So.
Yeah, we're good.
Remember, kids, make sure you're actually streaming.
Yeah, make sure your stream is good before you start streaming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There were also a lot of like new companies that started to really get even better. Like Capcom. Capcom was Mega Man mostly, and then after that they got really good with. Well, they had more Mega Man. They had Mega Man X, which was like a second series of Mega Man. Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 is probably the start of the fighting game craze, honestly.
Yeah.
It was the first big fighting game. You can tell because they released it again like 8 times.
I'd say, let me go turn up the game.
Oh, there. Okay. Alright, now it's a solo stream, everybody. Also, a lot of RPGs. Final Fantasy was getting a lot better, getting bigger and better. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong Country was the shit.
Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 by Rare. And they would continue that partnership on the 64 and 64.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, should we talk about Mortal Kombat and how that was important? Because it kind of was.
Yeah, it was pretty important.
Because it started the ESRB.
It sure did.
Which is important because everybody cares about the ESRB, right, guys? Oh, there's a storm.
Oh no.
The ESRB heard us talking about it.
They heard us. Now we have to go.
Now we have to go into hiding again. Yeah, the weather's been weird today. My freaking weather app on my phone has been saying it's gonna storm, and then an hour later it doesn't storm at all. But now I think it's actually gonna start.
Yeah, it's actually raining.
Yeah, like before, me and Cameron were out getting food, and it like lightly rained a few times, but it didn't full on storm.
It didn't even try.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, SNES was good. Genesis had Mortal Kombat with blood in it, so that was cool.
Genesis had Phantasy Star.
Oh, Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It also had a lot of just very 90s games like Earthworm Jim and Toe Jam and Earl. And
yeah, those are pretty nice. Oh yeah, Link to the Past. Zelda Link to the Past.
Oh yeah.
That was a super huge game.
Also, my favorite game series started in the 4th gen, Star Fox.
Oh yeah, which was actually back then a technical
masterpiece
achievement.
Yeah, that was
because it was 3D.
I think it was the first Nintendo, like 3D Nintendo game.
Yeah, I think it was actually. I can't think of anything before that.
Unless the other ones came out before.
No, I don't think so. Also, didn't Star Fox have like the first canceled sequel with Star Fox 2? Star Fox didn't get released.
Yeah.
Unless there was just some game we never knew about and never really got off the ground. But Star Fox 2 was advertised. It was.
Yeah, it was advertised.
They showed screenshots.
Funny story about that. Someone tried to steal a copy of it at E3 '95.
How'd that go?
They got arrested.
What if they're still serving time for that,
dude?
And then they buy the SNES Mini, and then they finally play it. It's like it's perfect.
It's perfect.
It's the way I wanted. That'd be funny.
Yeah, but it's honestly, I could compare Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo to the 360 and PS3 rivalry. Like it was honestly just preference, really.
Yeah, that was back when like console wars were also a thing, where like you pick sides and be like, oh well, my console is this game, and it can do this really well and all that jazz.
Which was all marketing bullshit.
Yeah, and it was the bit war, blast processing.
Blast processing,
which
guys.
is still real, I promise. I swear it's a real thing.
Tom Kalinske will approve.
Tom Clancy will approve.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, the sole programmer of every Splinter Cell.
Yes.
And Rainbow Six.
He's the only one
Yeah.
who worked on each and every single game in the Rainbow Six franchise.
Even
including
now.
Siege.
Even now.
He is updating Siege as we speak.
Yeah. He's adding himself into the game.
He's nerfing Blackbeard again.
Oh no, nerf beard, why? He doesn't deserve it. Oh.
But yeah.
But yeah, in general, it was also the bit war. The bit war is pretty cool because nobody even knew what a bit was.
Yeah.
Only computer scientists and programmers even know what that is. Kids are just like, bits, right?
Yeah.
It's 16-bit. What's that?
I think.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
We gotta talk about handheld. We're playing a handheld game.
Yeah, the handheld market kind of opened up in the 4th gen too.
With 89 with Game Boy.
Yeah, the Game Boy, the OG brick Game Boy.
Green screen. Black bricks.
Then I think in either 90 or 91, I think the Game Gear was released.
Yeah.
And then the Atari Lynx was also released. And okay, the Game Gear and Lynx did compete with each other pretty harshly, but the Game Boy was ridiculous. It was stupid.
It was actually dumb how long it lasted.
It lasted. See, and people get mad nowadays. What was the controversy with releasing a game on a dead system? Oh, the 3DS thing. People complained about releasing games on a 3DS, but
with the Switch out right
now.
The
first Pokemon games released on the original Game Boy in 1998.
Yeah.
The Game Boy had been pretty much. The Game Boy Color had been out for a year. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like
the freaking original Game Boy was in middle school while the Game Boy Color was in diapers. It was actually dumb.
And then
there was a billion peripherals for it too that made no sense.
No sense. Like
I mean, there were some that are good, like the magnifier. The magnifier actually did work.
The magnifier and the backlight. The backlight was fine.
Yeah, the backlight was perfect.
And then there was also a battery pack for it, which back then you actually needed almost.
Yeah, that's how you drain money right there.
Yeah,
that thing cost 4 batteries.
Jesus, man. And it's funny because Pokemon Crystal released on the Game Boy Color in like 2001.
Yeah.
When the Game Boy Advance had already been out.
It's so weird to think like that these games are not even that old. Like you look at them and like, oh, that's Game Boy, right? It's like 2001. You're like, what?
You're just like, what? The GameCube was out by that point.
Yeah, it honestly was. Which is ridiculous.
But. And then something kind of weird happened in the early to mid 90s. The 5th generation to a lot of people didn't start until 1995 or 96, but technically it started in like 93 or 94 because there was a little weird moment where there was these game consoles that were releasing that were CD based, like the CDI and the 3DO. And then there was also the Atari Jaguar, which was 64 bits, which no one had ever heard of before.
That was like, whoa.
Yeah, but then you quickly realize that they didn't utilize it at all.
Yeah.
So 4th gen, I would say, really ended in 1995.
Yeah.
And that was just a really ugly transition period between 4th and 5th. That was an ugly-ass transition.
Yeah, because that's when 3D was becoming a thing.
Yeah, 3D was becoming a thing, and then in 94.
But no one knew how to do it stupid well yet. Like, no one knew how to do it effectively.
Yeah, no one knew how to do it very well. And then in 94, 95 was when the PS1 and Sega Saturn came out, which 5th gen is probably it's I would say for nowadays, like modern gaming, that is the most important gen for sure.
Honestly, it was.
It really was, because if it hadn't been for that, you know, you wouldn't see 3D platformers or maybe even 3D gaming.
Yeah, well, it probably still would have happened, but it would have taken longer.
Yeah, it would have taken longer.
We would have wait way longer on it. Also, it was also the point where discs were becoming the norm.
Yeah, they were becoming the norm.
Gaming.
And then Nintendo said no.
No, well, the cartridges.
Yeah, cartridges, right?
Discs are slow.
Yeah, they're slow.
But discs can hold way more.
Yeah, discs hold way more storage. And I think the coolest thing about that era was just how weird the Saturn was. But before we talk about Saturn, I want to talk about PS1 and N64. This was the generation when Nintendo kind of lost it.
Yeah, PS1 did stupid well.
Yeah, it was and PS1 was the first ever console to get over 100 million units, which was unheard of at the time. No one ever thought video games would be that popular. And Nintendo, I don't even think the N64 sold 50 million.
I
I don't even think it did. And if it did, it wasn't very far over.
Yeah.
But the N64 was a great console, but I would say it was honestly the worst one out of the bunch. I mean, not just like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it didn't age. It didn't even age the worst. It's just the controller.
Yeah. Oh my god, I don't like the N64 controller at all.
It's so bad.
It's not good for platformers, even though N64 was known for platformers. It was just really awkward to hold, really awkward to like. You had to put your hands in like different places. And it was like there was the crab technique, there was the left hand on the left, and in the middle you had your right. And it's like depending on what you were playing, you'd have to hold it in different ways. It was really inconsistent and weird.
Yeah, but I'd say I like the N64. It's a good system. It's just
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of great games on it. Mario 64 is probably one of the most important games ever.
yeah.
Because it made 3D gaming super. It set the standard for 3D gaming
Yeah.
and how to do a camera and how to do controls with 3D environment.
You absolutely destroyed that Geodude.
Well,
Holy
grass
shit.
piece rock. So
Oh, okay. I forgot about that actually.
yeah, that's the weird thing about Pokemon. The starters actually determine your difficulty. Bulbasaur is easy. Squirtle is medium and Charmander's hard.
Huh.
And I don't think any other Pokemon game was kind of designed with that in mind. And I don't even know if it was designed like that in mind, but that's how it works out. Because Bulbasaur has the easiest time in the first two gyms. Squirtle has an easy time in this first gym, and then the next one he's neutral because it's the water gym. And then Charmander has it bad for the first two gyms because this is rock and water.
Yeah.
So he has the hardest time.
Wow.
But even down to that, I think the game's still based on preference on what Pokemon you want.
Yeah. But
Anyways, back to N64, Banjo-Kazooie.
yeah. This was also the golden age of
3D platformer.
3D platformers, of just for N64, it was the golden age of platformers. For PlayStation, I believe it was the golden age of not only RPGs,
There were a lot of really big RPGs.
but also shooters.
Oh yeah, shooters were starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
'Cause now you had a 3D environment.
Yeah.
Although GoldenEye was probably the most famous one.
Yeah, of course. The PS1 probably aged the worst.
I think some games still look good on it. I think the Crash games look really good on it still.
Yeah, Spyro games look pretty decent on there.
Yeah. But you're gonna have to convince me on Rainbow Six.
Yeah, Rainbow Six looked pretty bad.
Yeah. It looks okay.
And then we get to the Saturn, which is my personal favorite out of the entire generation, simply because of the fact that it aged the best, in my opinion. Like, there's not that many games that look like total garbage on there.
Yeah.
Because the Saturn wasn't made for strictly 3D. The thing about the Saturn was that it was a 2D powerhouse. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 1 was on that system.
Yeah, and that game looks amazing.
And that game looks beautiful. Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3 were on there too.
Yeah, that's true.
So 2D games looked beautiful on there. And 3D games looked okay. They didn't look bad. Like Daytona USA, Clockwork Knight looked pretty good.
Oh yeah, Clockwork Knight's pretty fun.
Bug is a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
Virtua Cop, Virtua Fighter 2, those look pretty good, like for the time. It hasn't aged the best. Like, none of the consoles have aged the best, but I'd say out of all of them, the Saturn did, because just of the fact that the Saturn wasn't really focused on 3D. Not to mention, I love the controller.
Yeah, the Saturn controller is actually really, really good. I find. Not the pancake one.
No,
I don't like the pancake one. That one looks weird.
So yeah, it does look weird, but
I don't know. It's weird to hold. Oh yeah, I get the running shoes finally. Thank God.
And then we're gonna get to another weird transition with the late 90s.
Oh yeah.
So, in the late 90s, something weird happened with Sega in the mid to late 90s. Sega, well, really the 90s in general, they did really good with their Genesis in the gen before, which I think we're glossing over some things about each gen, but it's okay.
Yeah, this is generalization.
Yeah, just like, hey, this is what we know about it, this is what we like about it, this is what we don't like about it, move on.
Yeah, also, we didn't really grow up with these generations.
No, we grew up with 6th.
We didn't play these games when they were new or the hit scene, so we don't really know about them personally. We can't really give anything on that.
Yeah.
So later on, when we do get to generations we know and have played, that's when it gets more interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, the weird thing about Sega was that they were doing really good with their Genesis, and then they didn't really know what to do after that, because they were like, okay, our Genesis is doing pretty good. And I want to say this was like 1993, 1994. They tried to rush into things a little too much.
Yeah.
They tried to get into the next generation a little too fast, I think. Because in that time period, 3 Sega consoles came out from the year 1992 to 1995. 3 consoles.
Yeah.
The Sega CD, which is okay. I would say that's more of an add-on than its own thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what people saw it as.
And then there's the 32X. And that was just a hot pile of garbage.
Yeah.
It was not good at all.
Yeah.
Like it.
To quote James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, with like all the plugs and stuff for like the Genesis, the CD, 32X, it looked like the thing was on life support. It looked like they were just trying to keep the console alive.
Yeah, they were trying to keep it alive a little too much for a little too long, and it ended up hurting them like tremendously. If they hadn't done that, if they would have just released the Saturn, just the Saturn, and not the CD and 32X and all this other add-on bullshit for the Genesis, I feel like Sega would still be in the console business.
Probably, honestly. I feel like they would have,
or at least they would have had a better chance.
Yeah, I felt like Dreamcast would have done better because it would have gotten more support.
But the Saturn didn't do well at all in America. It did pretty decently in Japan, but it did not do well in the States at all.
What about Europe?
It did
fine in Europe, right?
I think so, yeah. I think it did fine in Europe. It just did not do well over here.
Yeah, which kind of sucks, honestly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of good games on Saturn. It's just, there really are. Like, a lot of 2D beat-em-ups and 2D fighters were on that thing. And Nights into Dreams is awesome. I love Nights into Dreams. But then something even weirder happened. The Sega Saturn had failed, and Sega kind of knew that they were like, yeah, we're pretty much just going to release this console and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And before we get to the Dreamcast, I just want to preface the Saturn's failure by saying this. At E3 1995, the PlayStation was unveiled, its price was unveiled, and so was the Saturn's. So the president of Sega of America comes out. He comes to the booth and he goes, "Okay, the Sega Saturn is this, and this," and unveils all the games. First of all, they rushed this thing Completely. This thing was supposed to come out in the late 95. I think it was supposed to come out in 96. But in America is what I mean. In Japan, it was already out. But in America, I don't think it was supposed to come out until late 95 or 96. They ended up releasing it way earlier than they should have. Which, hold up. Let me see if I'm correct about this, actually. I might be wrong.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we're doing this all off of memory. We don't have notes.
Release date.
Ooh, that'll kill him. Yeah, that'll kill him. Perfect.
Okay.
Hey, Ekans, that's Snake backwards.
Okay, it was released in late 94 in, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy. It was released in late 94 in Japan and May 11th of 1995 in North America and July in Europe.
Oof.
It was supposed to come out in late 95 that year. And it didn't, and that was a big problem. Plus, funny story, the guy comes out, says, hey, all these games are going to be coming out for the Saturn, and the Saturn is going to be coming out today. Yeah, they announced it at E3 and said, hey, by the way, it's out now, which confused stores. A lot of stores like Walmart, Kmart, Target, whatever, they were all like, what? We don't even have time to ship the consoles over to our stores. We're not going to do this.
Yeah.
So they didn't sell the console. Lots of stores refused to sell the Saturn because they weren't given any notice or any time to get ready for it. And not to mention the Saturn was also overpriced. It was $400 when it came out, which for those who don't know, that is how much a PS4 is now. It's not even $400 anymore.
No, yeah, they cut it down.
They cut it down.
Mostly because it's been a while since it's released and PS5's already been announced.
Yeah, so $400 in 1995 money is like $800 now. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a lot.
So people and then PlayStation was after Sega. So PlayStation goes, okay. And I don't know if they were going to announce the price like that anyway, but instead of doing the whole press conference spiel where they list off all the games, say everything that they're going to do, the dude just comes out, he looks at everybody, and he just kind of stands there for a second, and then he holds the microphone, he goes, $299. Walks off stage.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
I mean, that destroyed the Saturn. It destroyed it. And it wasn't even Sega of America's fault. It was actually Sega of Japan. Because they did not know, the president of Sega of Japan did not know what he was doing at all. And, yeah, so after the Saturn's failure, the Saturn failed like 2 to 3 years after it was released.
I thought you were going to say the Saturn failed 2 to 3 times.
I mean, shit.
I mean, with that E3, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, shit, man.
Yeah, not great.
So the Saturn, it just failed miserably. Has a lot of great games on it though, and it's ironically the best system of that generation in my opinion. I'm gonna do a review on it. I'm gonna do a bunch of reviews on.
I'll review it right now. It's good.
It was good.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Well, should we move on to Sega's?
Yeah, we should.
Much?
Yeah. So after the Sega Saturn failed, Sega was like, "Well, shit, we got to come out with another console." So basically, it's just the Master System Genesis spiel all over again.
Yeah. This honestly, the generations like 3 through 6 are the rise and fall of Sega.
Yeah, pretty
Sega
much.
consoles.
The rise, fall, rise, and fall.
The rise and fall and stagnation.
So Sega's like, okay, we're gonna make a system that nobody's ever really seen before. And instead of it being 32 bits or 64 bits or whatever, it was 128, which, by the way, is on par with the PS2. Not GameCube and Xbox, but definitely PS2.
That's a lot of bits.
Oh, yeah. And it released in 98, and it did pretty well for a few years. It did well for about 2 years, and then it just died.
It died.
It just died.
It got destroyed.
It got destroyed.
It did have good games, though.
It had amazing
Yeah,
games.
it had Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. 1 being like a launch game, right?
Yeah, it was a launch game
And
in
2 was
America.
one of the last games.
Jet Grind Radio, Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur 1.
Yeah, a lot of like Sega home names like that you think of with Sega.
Yeah.
Space Channel 5 as well.
Oh, yeah. Space Channel 5. Choo Choo Rocket is another good one. Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Samba de Amigo.
Oh, yeah, I have that actually. I don't know where it is, but I have it.
I have it, but I don't have it. If this kid has 4 Weedles, I'm punching him in the mouth. Oh, thank God. Free XP. Thank Jesus. I was like, I'm going to have to fight. Oh, critically, you got destroyed. I was going to say, if I have to fight 4 Weedles, this is going to be stupid. Anyways.
So then we move on to the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So PS1.
Which, oh, God.
Oh, fuck. So the PS2 came out in 2000, March 3rd, 2000 in Japan. And the my phone again. The Dreamcast was doing decently. It had a leg up in that generation.
Yeah, it had Seaman.
Yeah. But
and a battery pack that showed you stuff.
yeah, that was actually pretty cool though.
That was cool. It showed you your health in Resident Evil 2.
Oh wow.
Which was actually super useful, meaning you didn't have to pause the game to see how good or bad you were doing.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. And in Sonic Adventure, you can take your Chow around and do stuff with them.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there were some companies and stuff that did really cool stuff with that battery pack. Two had died in a year, like 2 years.
Yeah. Oof.
Rest in peace. It's because your cord was on the bottom of the controller. This freaking Metapod died.
Yeah,
But
but
literally have one health.
the PS1 was doing amazing. Like by 2000, by the time 2000 came around, the PS1 had already sold 100 million units. It was doing incredibly well. Had a lot of great games, great classic games that a lot of people love nowadays. And it made Sony go, oh, okay, so we're gonna continue doing this. So the PS2 was rumored in 1999, and it came out a year later in Japan on March 3rd, I believe. I already said that, but anyway, didn't have many launch titles, but the thing that made the PS2 destroy the Dreamcast,
And everyone that generation was
DVDs. It was the cheapest DVD player at that time that you could buy.
Yep.
And the Xbox and GameCube was still a year away.
Yeah.
So PS2 not only had DVD player functionality, but it also had brand recognition, and it also came out a year before everyone else.
Yeah.
So the PS2 is pretty much destined to succeed.
Yeah, the stars aligned in the perfect way for PS2 to succeed. And then, of course, you have the games on it, too, that were amazing. You had Silent Hill 2, one of the best horror games ever. You have, you got a lot of RPGs. You got Final Fantasy X. Just so many great games on it.
Yeah, you have, like, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, which, yes, aren't exclusives anymore, but when they first came out, they were.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, Twisted Metal Black, Devil May Cry,
Jack and Daxter,
Sly Cooper, yeah.
Just so many good games.
So many, like it's just crazy.
And you get a DVD player.
And you get a DVD player.
So screw it, get it.
And it was backwards compatible with PS1 games.
So you can throw out your PS1, but not your games. Just keep that thing around if you really, really want to, if you're a collector.
Yeah. So then about a year passes. PS2 is doing well. Dreamcast is dead. And Sega announces that they're not going to make game consoles anymore. They're going to be a third-party developer for other game consoles.
Yeah.
And
Sega is on a Nintendo console. Wow.
Which at the time was unheard of.
Yeah, at the time was really weird to hear and say. Because it was just the rivalry back in the 90s.
Yeah. The GameCube was unveiled in 2000.
People saw the discs and were like, what?
Yeah, the GameCube had proprietary small-ass discs.
Yeah.
And nobody really understood why.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it would make it hard to pirate.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't just take the normal disc.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's the only thing I can think of for why you'd make those small discs.
Yeah.
It meant games couldn't really do as much.
But, like, that generation was just so crazy and unique to me. And I'm going to explain why in this stream. Because I have, like, a whole... I wanted to do a review on this generation of game consoles. Hey, phone, can you, like, not?
He's like, I like the GameCube, too.
Bigly buff. Anyway.
Yeah, Jigglypuff's going to sleep. Ain't that ironic?
Anyway. So, the Dreamcast was already dead by this point. It was a great console, though. Fun fact, it was the very first game console to have a built-in modem to where you could go on the internet, which was...
Yeah, because the closest thing to that before was, like, the Sega Channel.
Yeah, Sega Channel, and the Saturn had a modem, and the N64 allowed you to connect to the internet, I believe.
Maybe? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Maybe it was only in Japan, I don't know. But anyway.
It was probably Japanese.
So GameCube was released, and it was a very exciting time to be a Nintendo fan from 2001 to 2003.
Unless you were a Zelda fan, then you got Wind Waker, which apparently looked bad.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Wind Waker got a huge backlash when it first came out.
Especially because I don't remember the name of the expo.
At Space World 2000.
Yeah, Space World 2000.
Which
they showed off a demo, or like a thing, like an animation, and it had realistic Link and Gandalf. And I was like, oh shoot, the new Zelda looks so good. And then Wind Waker showed up like a year or two later, and it's like, oh, okay. But I love Wind Waker. Wind Waker's so good.
Oh yeah, I do too.
This was the point where me and Cameron were alive.
Yeah,
so we started playing video games.
Yeah, this was like the era that I grew up with for the most part.
Yeah, I got a GameCube. My parents got me a GameCube. I don't even remember the year, but I remember playing it a billion times.
Oh yeah. God, I love the GameCube. But anyway, so the Xbox was also unveiled. Originally, it was gonna be called the Direct Xbox, and it looked a lot more like an actual X.
Yeah.
And then Microsoft was like, "Oh wait, we actually want to sell this thing,
Yeah.
so we're gonna actually make it look like a box and not just an X."
Yeah.
So
They should have made a console just a big X. Imagine trying to store that on like your freaking shelf, just a big fat X.
It looks so stupid.
Then make the controller a big fat X.
The boomerang control.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so
E.
Me too, Magikarp. Me too.
Well, I gotta throw them out so you can get XP.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
But anyway.
But yeah, this was GameCube was a console I grew up on. Absolutely loved it. Played Sonic. I think my dad got it for me because he was a huge Sega fan. He grew up on Sega. He has a Dreamcast. He has like the disc so you can run like the internet on it, like just to run. I don't know if it was Windows, but it was like something.
Yeah, it was Windows CE.
Yeah, it ran. He has the disc that lets you run Windows CE, which is kind of funny to think about, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty great. You can actually still run it too if you hook it up to a modem. If you hook it up to a modem, you can actually run internet on there.
Can I want to move into like a college dorm with that. Just like have a Dreamcast. I'm like in the library. I'm like hooking it up.
You're like, what is that? You're like, oh, it's my Dreamcast.
Oh yeah, I got this at the CBU bookstore. But just sitting there on the freaking, just in the library working on like my homework. Like, hey guys.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm on
Yo,
SegaNet.
You guys need me to look it up?
Pulls out Dreamcast controller.
Yeah. Man, freaking cords on the bottom.
So, basically back then, this is how the systems worked. Everything was so unique at the time. Each console was unique within its own. Like with PS2, it had lots of great exclusives. It had DVD playback.
I'd say it was the RPG machine.
It was the RPG machine.
Of that generation.
Of that
a lot
generation.
of good RPGs. Yo, Persona.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, Persona started on PS1, but Persona 3 was the first Persona game to blow up. Then, GameCube was a platformer still.
GameCube was just a huge, like I said, from 2001 to 2003. When you were a Nintendo fan, you were very happy because not only did you get at launch, you got Luigi's Mansion.
That's pretty good.
And I believe you got Star Wars not Battlefront, but Rogue Squadron 2 at launch.
Yeah.
But you also got later on in the year, like around November or December, you got Pikmin,
which until Splatoon was the newest Nintendo IP.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
It's really weird.
It's also crazy to think about how Splatoon is almost half a decade old.
Yeah.
God, I feel old.
Yeah. Ooh boy, I remember playing that.
I got it at launch.
I don't think I got it at launch. I got it a little bit after launch, but it's still fun.
Oh my God, I feel old. Anyway, like GameCube was the Nintendo console. Like it was just at the time people were like, holy shit. Like you got Smash Brothers Melee that year. You got Wave Race Blue Storm. And a little later on, you got Metroid Prime. You got F-Zero GX. You got Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, also, fun fact about Metroid Prime. The guy who... Okay, wait, just to remind me. What's the name of the company that made Metroid Prime?
Retro Studios.
Yeah, the guy who was in charge of Retro Studios when Metroid Prime was being developed would later go on to get fired by Nintendo. Because Miyamoto did not like how he was like running the business, basically. He didn't like his business ethic. And that guy that got fired would later go on to make Top Heavy Studios and make the Guy game.
Oh. What?
I'm not making that up. I don't remember his name, but it's true. He would go on to make the Guy game, which would be one of like the first banned games ever. And making news coverage. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
I'm not even joking.
That is hilarious.
That is legitimately true, which is the funniest thing I have ever heard. Aaron's broken by that fact, but it's legit. It's legit.
Oh shit. But so that was like the Nintendo console because so many Nintendo franchises were coming back, and there were also Nintendo franchises that were new, like Animal Crossing and Pikmin, and you know.
Yeah. Also, it was the Resident Evil machine.
Yeah.
They got Resident Evil Remake,
Resident Evil 0,
Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 was exclusive for a second.
Yeah.
Good job, Capcom. That's a whole story of its own, though.
Then the Xbox was the shooter machine, and it was also the console you played if you wanted to play online.
Oh yeah, that Xbox was the console to play for online. It was what made online a norm, pretty much.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great exclusives on Xbox. Lots of them.
Oh, Halo. Halo is one of the biggest games.
Halo, Halo 2, Crimson Skies, Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Fable.
Fable
was pretty big.
Jet Set Radio Future. Mech Assault. Kajuto Chojin, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah. Japanese.
What was it called? Blinks the Time Sweeper. That was also a good game.
Yeah.
I just watched a video about
Grabbed by the
exclusives.
Ghoulies.
Yeah, Grabbed by the Ghoulies. That was a good game.
Made by Rare. Rest in peace.
Ninja Gaiden Black. All great Xbox exclusives. So you, like I said, this was the last generation where exclusives really mattered.
Yeah, kind of, because like exclusives are nowhere near as common anymore. Because most companies are like, well, hey, I could just put my game on every console and I would make more money.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm selling it to everybody.
Yeah. But then the console would suffer because of it.
Yeah, if every game was on every console, nothing would be good.
Yeah.
'Cause no one would have to try because it would be on everything. The only games that would be exclusive are like ones made by the companies.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo games, like Mario. Like Mario wouldn't be on anything else. It makes sense for that to be exclusive because they make it.
Yeah. But every console was just different and unique at the time. Like everything was so different.
Yeah. It was a true console war.
It really was.
A
like
truly difficult console war.
Nowadays that's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, there's usually a clear winner in console wars. A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like the next generation.
Oof. But with that era, of course the PS2 won. Just like PS1, the PS1.
The PS1 won.
Yeah, the PS1 won.
Yeah. We're getting binary.
Yeah. The last generation. And then
Oh yeah, wait, Game Boy Advance.
Oh yeah, handhelds.
We're playing a Game Boy Advance game. Game Boy Advance had a lot of good games. It had Pokemon still. It had Zelda Minish Cap, which, despite being a good game, is actually the worst selling Zelda game. Weirdly enough.
I hate that.
Mario and Luigi. Oh, the only problem was the screen.
Yeah, obviously Pokemon was still pretty big for the most part. It dwindled down after the late 90s, but
yeah, Pokemon never reached the heights of the 90s. But it still does good, obviously.
Yeah, it still makes Game Freak a lot of money. We're not gonna get into Game Freak now.
Oh yeah, right now it's Sword and Shield. No, that's a whole other thing. And I don't think me and Cameron are really Pokemon experts.
We're not.
To go into that whole thing. But
good God, we're not going to.
Yeah, but yeah, Pokemon still, I think it's a good game. It's not really my big RPG I play. But
Yeah.
it's still good.
Yeah, big RPG I play is just Chrono Trigger. I love Chrono Trigger
Also,
so much.
I guess we should talk about this as well. The GameCube and Game Boy Advance kind of had, the Link features.
Oh yeah, you could link up your Game Boy Advance to the GameCube.
And certain games would have special stuff. Zelda 4 Swords Adventure, the co-op was entirely built on using Game Boy Advance, the link cables.
Yeah.
Pac-Man World 2 had a bonus disc where you could basically play multiplayer Pac-Man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I have, actually. And you only needed one GBA in the link cable. The rest played with GameCube controllers.
Okay, that's awesome. We gotta do that.
Yeah,
we gotta do that.
I played it with some friends at a birthday party. It was really, really fun.
We gotta do that.
Because it's just really fun because it's just Pac-Man multiplayer, so you're always just screaming about like, I'm gonna get him, and whichever ghost gets him gets to be Pac-Man next. It's like whoever gets to the set score wins.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really fun. But yeah, I think there was a lot of cool stuff that they did with the Game Boy Advance and stuff. Also, didn't Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Sonic Adventure DX also used it?
Yeah, they did. But I think the coolest thing about that generation, like I said, was just like it was tailored to your preference. Like it was a preference thing, really, because if you played Xbox, if you liked their exclusives,
online shooters,
like
and all that kind of stuff.
Online shooters and just shooters in general. And yeah, there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. Like their RPG is Fable.
Yeah.
And their platformer was Blink's the Time Sweeper. With PS2, they had a lot of RPGs, but they also had lots of other games too, because it's the PS fucking 2.
Yeah, it was the last console to have good Silent Hill games.
Oof.
Oh.
PS2 had all kinds of games. Had Killzone.
Oh yeah.
That was their shooter.
Yeah, they had the platformer trilogy of Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. Although I would argue Sly Cooper's the only platform. Probably the only one that stayed as a platformer heavily. After a while, Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter kind of became more shooters.
Yeah.
But they were still like the big PS2 names that you thought of for like original IPs.
Anyway, and with GameCube, you played it if you really loved platformers and
Mario.
and you were just a really big fan of Nintendo. Like if you were a big fan of Nintendo, you got the GameCube, and you also played it because of some of the third-party support, like and the fact that Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, and Geist, those were the like I think they were the first games ever made by Nintendo that were rated M.
I think so, actually. I can't think of anything before that.
Or really after that, honestly.
Yeah, the only other thing that comes close, I guess, would be Metroid, because there's T for Teen.
Yeah, and Smash.
Yeah, and Smash is Teen. But that's about it. There's nothing beyond that.
That's just insane to me.
Yeah, but and Eternal Darkness started off as a N64 game.
Wow.
And then it got ported to the GameCube.
I forgot about that, actually.
It got moved over to the GameCube development. With the Dolphin kit. Project Dolphin. Dolphin emulator.
So, after 6th generation, we're getting into the 7th.
Yeah, we're getting into the 7th, which I joined into super late.
I did too.
Yeah, I joined super... Well, kind of. I had the Wii. And that was all I had. And it was all I played for the longest time.
Yeah, I had the PS3 at launch, but I didn't play it much.
Yeah, PS3 had a really shaky launch, actually.
It had a shaky life cycle.
Yeah, but its launch was very weak, especially compared to the previous two consoles.
Oh my gosh.
Which once again proves the curse of threes with consoles.
Kinda, yeah.
Because, what was it? NES, SNES did great, and then N64 lost against PS1. Then GameCube, Wii, and then Wii U.
Yeah.
And for PlayStation, PS1, PS2, and then the PS3 has a shoddy launch.
Yeah, then of course there's, Sega.
We don't talk about Sega.
And then there's the Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Yeah, Xbox One had a rocky pre-launch
all right.
of all the stuff.
We'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
I just wanted to talk about the Curse of Threes because now it's kind of become relevant.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because even Sony falls for it.
I think the weirdest thing about that era was just, and of course I'm talking about PS3, 360, and Wii. That was the era. The Wii was incredibly successful, but they sacrificed a lot.
Oh yeah.
They sacrificed an entire community of people.
A little bit.
Almost.
It was seen as the casual console. It was seen as like, the family console you just bought for your family to play games on, play Wii Sports. And I ain't dissing Wii Sports. But
Wii Sports was my shit.
But we all saw the commercials with the two Asian guys going, "We would like to play," and they go, "Do do do do." You get a bunch of guys living on a farm playing some racing game.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's great.
I
mean, those commercials were awesome.
Then, of course, I think almost everybody knows about the 360's launch.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, Red Ring of Death was...
Red Ring of Death. That's all you gotta say.
That's all I gotta say.
To bring back the wounds, the scars. Basically, I think I got the statistic from a Donkey video, because Donkey was talking about how Microsoft has done some really bad stuff. Over half of all original Xbox 360s, the white Xbox 360s, had to get repairs or be fixed because they had errors.
Wow.
Over half. And the Wii, less than I think 15%. And then PS3 was somewhere in the middle. I don't remember that one exactly. But
yeah, they both launched pretty shittily.
Yeah, but compared to PS3 and when you compare the PS3 to the 360 was better because the PS3 was really difficult to develop on.
Yeah, it was notorious for being awful to work on, like for
back in the launch.
back when it launched.
And it was seen as risky to make a game on it because you could get something like Uncharted or something like, or you know, like a huge hit.
Yeah.
Or your company could die.
Yeah, or your company could die.
Which happened to a lot of game developers back then, like people who made that game where you fought on a dragon.
Oh, Lair?
Yeah, Lair. Lair was gonna be way bigger and better than it was, but developing for the PS3 was so irksome that the company suffered for it and went out of business. I believe it was. It's a sad day.
That was a very sad day.
Yo, come fight me.
Because the guys that made that made Star Wars Battle, or wait.
Yeah, they made Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah, they did.
I thought it was Rogue Squadron.
No, they made Battlefront, I believe.
I thought.
I don't remember that crap.
Damn it.
Research.
What was that?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Anyways, 360. You know, everyone still had their exclusives, pretty much. 360 had Halo. They still had Rareware doing stuff, although they committed the mortal sin of releasing nuts and bolts.
Oof. Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about the last generation. That was when Microsoft acquired Rare.
In like, what was it?
And that was basically the end of the golden age of Rareware.
Yeah, the last Nintendo game they made was Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, which, by the way, is a good game for those who don't like it.
No, it isn't. It's a below-average Zelda.
Shut up. Shut your mouth. You don't know.
Why couldn't I bring my blast? This requires a new strategy. Beat people up with a stick for 20 hours.
God. I'd say the best part about the 7th gen was just way later on, because most of the games that came out from 2006 to 2009 weren't amazing.
Don't forget 2007 though. 2007, the best year for gaming.
Yeah, pretty much.
Seriously, look up the list of games that came out in 2007. You will be blown away by how many great games came out on it. Please ignore 2006.
Yeah, please.
For Sonic 06, because oh god.
Like that game, oh my god.
We will totally play it. Totally, guys.
Yeah.
Totally. I'll play it because I own a pre-platinum hit copy because I was a dumb child. You know the demo on the Xbox 360 Marketplace on Sonic 06 is a better build than the final release, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the dumbest thing in the world.
That is so stupid.
It's the best thing ever. Thank you, Sega. I love you.
But like, I'd say the best part about that era was like way later when
the later half was way better than the first half.
Yeah.
Because the PS3 was starting to actually, they lowered the price on it, right? I think they lowered the price.
They lowered the price and they just started releasing game after game after game after game.
That were really, really good. Ratchet Clank was back. It was the Future series.
Yeah.
What else? Uncharted was a huge one. Naughty Dog, honestly, really, really helped the PS3 in that aspect.
It really did.
I mean, they also made Crash Bandicoot as well, so they've always been pretty good on Sony. Especially with The Last of Us.
Yeah, that was a pretty big success.
Very big game. Very big success.
So PS3 had a couple of good games like Ni no Kuni, Infamous 2. It had, let's see. It just had a lot of it had a handful of good games.
Yeah, but I look over at the PS3 games that that Cameron has, and it's not like the biggest collection in the world, no offense, but like most of them are games that I could get somewhere else on a different console.
Yeah, they are.
The only game that sticks out to me heavily is Red Dead Redemption, which is only on consoles.
I thought it was on PC.
No, it was not. Trust me, I would have gotten it on PC.
What?
Yeah. I know we haven't been talking about PC a lot, but it's kind of hard to talk about PC by generations because PCs just kind of always existed.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of separate it.
Maybe we'll do another episode about like history of PC gaming.
Because PC gaming obviously is super good.
Oh yeah.
A lot of great classic franchises started on PC.
But yeah, the Wii was doing really good. You know, you had Mario Galaxy, you had Smash Bros. Brawl, you
Twilight
had
Princess.
Twilight
Although
Princess.
that was also on the GameCube actually.
Yeah, but
And they weirdly flipped everything.
then you had Mad World, The Blob, Mario Strikers, Mario Sluggers. You had Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Yeah, isn't that my copy?
Yeah, it is actually.
That's a good game.
It really is.
It's the only good American Silent Hill, honestly.
Well, it's the only good Silent Hill game after 4, but
Yeah, honestly, it's sad. There's not a single bad Japanese Silent Hill, and that's the one good American Silent Hill.
but yeah.
Dark times have fallen upon us. But Death Stranding, you can pee standing up, so I guess that makes up for it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty.
Oh yeah, also we had the new Super Mario Bros. Games.
Oh yeah, those were great.
Yeah, you could kill your friends. We need to play that.
We need to.
We super need.
We need to.
We totally do. So I can scream. Although actually, the new Super Mario Bros. Game started on the DS, didn't it?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
And-
we can talk about the DS now.
Yeah, we can talk about the DS and the PSP.
And continue the saga of Nintendo being unrivaled on portable
Handheld.
gaming, because they always have succeeded at it. I mean, this was also when mobile gaming was kind of starting, right? That was when, wasn't that when it's kind of beginning?
That was more of an 8th gen thing, like around
Oh, yeah.
2013.
But cut the rope.
That's true.
Oh, and Angry Birds.
Boyd's.
Yeah, that would get a movie a decade later. Practically. What else? Oh yeah, the DS had 2 screens, which was really weird.
Yeah, for the time.
But it was cool.
And it's funny because it got unveiled. The DS came out in 2004, same year as PSP came out. They came out technically in the 6th generation, but people still kind of look at it as kind of a weird in-between period.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Also, PSP had weird discs.
And the PSP was probably like the most advanced handheld system ever.
But yeah, it is, honestly.
Like, it's still not that bad to look at. It was a portable PS2, really.
Yeah, honestly. And then then DS, I don't know. The DS was simpler, I guess.
The DS was not only simpler, but it had a touch screen, it had 2 screens, and it was more unique.
It had Mario 64, but you had to use a D-pad.
It had Mario 64 DS, New Super Mario Bros., Animal Crossing Wild World.
A port of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, that I am currently playing.
Yeah, right there. It's on the table as we speak. Beautiful game. We'll play that. It's a good game.
Oh yeah, it's a great game. It's probably my favorite RPG of all time, actually.
It's Persona 5.
See, that's where you're wrong.
No, I still love Chrono Trigger. I think it's still one of the best ones ever.
So yeah, DS beat PSP. It was like no competition whatsoever.
Yeah, DS was just...
I can't even name that many notable games on PSP, can you? There was Daxter.
No, I can't think. I mean, I've never owned one. I own a Vita, but not a PSP. Even though the Vita can play a lot of PSP games.
Man, I can't think of any.
I guess that speaks to the quality of it. I mean, to be fair, neither of us owned one.
Neither. Yeah, we never owned
So
one.
it's not like we
so-
played any of the games. We didn't grow up playing it or anything like that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true. So
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't really judge the PSP.
We won't judge the PSP's library mostly because we're not experts on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's like, "Oh, X, Y, and Z are really good games. Oh my god." And
Oh my
then
god, Persona 3 got a port on PSP. Did you not know about that?
Oh my god, but it reduced the cutscenes. It looked like a freaking. It looked like one of those like dating sims. Because the background, there was no like 3D environments. It was just backgrounds, but and all that. But you could control your party members, so that's pretty good.
I'll give it that.
And you could be female.
Wow.
I don't think.
Pokemon Crystal.
I don't think she's canon. But hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But in conclusion, DS.
Yeah, DS was pretty good.
Pretty good.
I would say Like the Wii, obviously the Wii won that era, for sure. But Nintendo, I think Xbox 360 was probably the best console of that generation.
I did play it a lot. Once I finally got one, I did play it quite a bit. There were a lot of good games to play on there. And then they got Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft is probably one of the biggest phenomenon
Yeah.
of modern gaming.
Yeah,
but
but that's more of a PC talk because it did start on PC.
it did start on PC.
And PC's been pretty much the most updated version for most of the time. Although I think Xbox definitely keeps up with it a lot more now because it's everywhere. It's on your fridge.
Minecraft on Samsung smart fridge.
Yeah, Minecraft on touchpads everywhere. Just put them on your advertisements. Put them on Switch. Everywhere.
And then finally, the current generation of game consoles, the 8th generation.
Wii U.
Shit.
Curse of Threes strikes again with the Wii U.
All right, so first of all, I just want to say that I love the Wii U.
I also do really like the Wii U. It had a lot of good games.
Lots of good games.
It had Wind Waker HD.
Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess.
Nintendo Land's a good amount of fun. Twilight Princess HD. Mario 3D World. If you want to count it, Breath of the Wild is technically on there.
Yeah. Smash for Wii U.
That was also a pretty big game.
Why do people hate on Smash 4?
I don't know. Mostly because I feel like it was definitely the most online or multiplayer heavy Smash Bros. Game. Didn't have a camp. It didn't have subspace or anything similar to it. It didn't have like a adventure mode. I'm not saying I hate it, but I'm saying don't buy Smash 4 unless you know you have people that you want to play with and will play with a lot.
Yeah.
Because with Melee you can play the adventure mode or classic mode. With Brawl you have subspace and all-star mode. And now with Ultimate you have the World of Light.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's in every other Smash Bros. Game I can think of a big single-player mode, but in Smash 4 I can't think of one that will hold you for that long.
So the current generation, it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good generation.
I'd say it was pretty good overall.
You want to talk about the PS4 and Xbox One launch?
Oh God, like the E3.
Yeah.
Oh jeez. Okay. So at E3, I don't remember which year. Who cares?
2013.
2013. Yeah, somewhere around there. Xbox One was showed off the aesthetic of it and all that, and they were talking about the policies for it. And basically, to make a long story short, the biggest complaint was that you couldn't have used games. You couldn't use used games for your console. You had to buy brand new ones. You couldn't share it with a friend who's like, all right, I beat the game, I'm gonna sell it to my friend because he's interested in it. No, you can't. That's it. It's over. Also, it was they revealed this at $500, right?
Yeah, it was.
It was $500 at launch, which was stupid expensive.
Yeah. Wasn't it like you couldn't even you couldn't play used games. At one point it was going to be online only.
Oh yeah, that was another big one. Online only.
Yeah, it was going to be online only, and you had to have your Kinect.
And it was bundled with the Kinect, and it always had to be connected.
Yeah, which creeped a lot of people out.
Yeah, because it's basically just the camera.
What was the problem with the PS4 when it launched?
I can't remember any major problems with PS4's launch, other than it didn't have a lot of strong games.
Well, neither did the Xbox One.
Yeah, neither of them launched well.
I'd say, and hear me out here, I would say the Wii U launched better than the fucking PS4 and Xbox One.
Honestly, yeah. I would be honest. To be honest, yeah. That's the weird thing with the PS3 and Xbox 360. They launched and then got better later on. And the same thing happened with Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah.
Their launch was okay. Like, they weren't terrible. But then later on, they started actually getting decent. Getting, like, good games.
Yeah.
And in general, just being better.
And then the opposite happened with the Wii U. It had an okay launch.
Yeah.
And then
no support.
No support, no third-party support. The game, like, it was gimmicky as hell.
Yeah.
And it confused a lot of people. A lot of people thought the Wii U was actually just an accessory for the Wii, so it turned a lot of people away.
Yeah, people thought the tablet was just like an add-on.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So they ended up like saying, "Hey, that's not a thing." So I'd say from 2014 to 2016, they just made a shit ton of games for it.
Yeah.
Like lots of great games. Bayonetta 2, Smash for Wii U, Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, Nintendo Land, Mario 3D World.
New Super Mario Bros. U if you really care.
If you really care, yeah. Splatoon. Like, so many good games. So many.
But that was it.
There
wasn't a lot of other games to get excited for. There was Virtual Console, I guess.
Which, to be fair, was, like, probably one of the best things about the Wii U.
It was pretty good. They added goddamn Earthbound, finally.
Yeah, and Mother 1.
Yeah, they have no Mother 3, though. Probably because there's a part where Lucas trips on mushrooms. But, yeah. Other than that, I can't see why they haven't done it yet. Come on, Doug Bowser, get on it. Show you're better than Reggie. Get Mother 3. What are you doing?
But after that, like...
Yeah, honestly, with my Wii U, it felt like there would be a new big game that I wanted. I would play that game to death, and then when I was done, it was dead. I never touched my Wii U. I didn't do anything else on it.
Yeah.
It was just over. Miiverse was cool, though.
Oh, yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles X was also a good game.
Yeah.
Then there was Star Fox Zero.
Ooh.
Now, let me just preface this statement by saying this. I am a diehard fan of Star Fox. I just finished doing the script for my review for Star Fox Assault, which, by the way, is not only my favorite GameCube game, but it is one of my favorite games of all time. It is amazing. Like, there's almost nothing bad about it.
I like 64.
See, that's everybody, though.
And I like 64 3D. I like Star Fox 64 too. Which Zero tried to be.
See, that was the problem. The problem with Star Fox Zero was not only the fact that of the control scheme, which at launch, I remember I got the game and I played it and I was so confused because I didn't understand why it was like it was motion controls only. I thought we were past this.
Yeah.
I thought that this is not 2006. This is 2016. You know, it's 10 years later. Come on.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the game doesn't look that good, like at all. It doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
It looks okay. Like it looks like an early.
I do like that animation that they did for it though.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That was amazing. I would totally. They should have made that a TV series.
They really should have.
It looked good. You know, see, Sonic Boom did one good thing. It had a good show.
Yeah. But Star Fox Zero not only had a shitty control scheme, but it also just really disappointed me in the sense that it's just another remake of Star Fox 64.
Yeah, it is the worst selling Star Fox game in Japan, I believe.
I believe so, yeah. Because it disappoints. I mean, and I don't blame people that don't like the game at all and say it's the worst Star Fox game. It's not the worst Star Fox game. That goes to Command, but Zero just it's probably the most disappointing game for sure. Because it could have been really good. It could have been,
even if it wasn't 64 again.
It could have been the revival of the entire franchise.
Because they added the little drone missions where you control the little drone flying around.
Yeah, that was unique, and they also
added some slightly new stuff.
Yeah, they added new gameplay elements that were in
They
2.
added Slippy's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oof.
Wasn't that before it came out though?
No, that was after. It was like right after it came out. They released Star Fox Guard, which I think I still have actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, you have. I remember seeing it. I was like, oh yeah, that weird game.
Yeah.
I wish I was that well equipped in a FNAF game. Guns. That'd be good.
But yeah, like that game is just.
Oh. It could have been good.
It could have been so much better. Please, Nintendo, please make Star Fox Assault 2. Just or something similar to it, please.
Just take the story after Assault. Just take the story that we had up to the Assault, and then do whatever.
Do whatever.
Don't do Command, please.
Don't do Command.
Oh God.
With all 32 of its
Command
endings.
kind of killed the series.
It almost killed the series.
It kind of did.
Like if it hadn't been for the fact that it's not the gameplay. The gameplay is fine. It's a Star Fox game, but the story, the endings. There's so many endings where the Star Fox team just goes to shit.
It just goes really weird.
It goes really weird, and there's a fucking side story where Fox and Falco are in F-Zero land. And it's just like, why?
And then Crystal dates, like, what's his name?
Panther from the Star Wolf team.
Yeah, but then she goes on her own and changes her name.
And it's like, why? Why did you? And then they have a son named Marcus.
Okay, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, they have a son named Marcus.
Yeah. They could have just made the game with the original story, like the normal story. That makes sense. And it probably would have been a good game.
It probably would have.
But no, let's make an anime. I mean, I would have watched it.
I would have watched it.
It's weird enough to watch.
Complained about it not pertaining to its original source material.
As usual, yeah. Of course.
Because that's what anime is all about.
Oh yeah, complaining.
Complaining.
That's life, honestly.
But okay,
All
back
right.
to.
Thank you for coming to our Star Fox TED Talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what this last two or 3 minutes has been.
Yeah, pretty much.
While I'm fighting a snake backwards.
I'd say so far the best. I think the best game of this generation was Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild was really, really good.
It's my favorite Zelda game. So I mean,
it is a really good open world game. It made everything interesting.
Yeah, it changed.
It made movement really, really smooth, really good. Felt like Zelda 1.
Yeah, it felt a lot like Zelda 1.
Which I think Zelda 1's design philosophy of let the player go wherever and figure out stuff on their own is really unique. And I wish more games did that.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of risky to do because if you make it not clear enough, then you can risk having the player get bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a good open world game knows how to fill up time and make stuff interesting.
Yeah, I'd say that's the best game of this generation. And speaking of which, let's talk about the Switch now.
Because the Switch, thank God it did good.
Thank God. Not only because of the fact that it's Nintendo, but because there's just so many good games on this thing.
Yeah. And it's getting a lot more.
A lot more, too. It's like Metroid Prime 4. I can't wait till that comes out.
Yeah. I also liked how they handled it.
Yeah, me too.
Where they're just like, we just want to start over.
Yeah, let's just start over.
Yeah. But it's got a lot of good games. New Zelda, a new Mario, Mario Tennis, new Animal Crossing, new Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, like.
Where's the new Star Fox? We'll see.
Please.
E.
I don't even care if it's that bullshit Star Fox racing game people were being rumored about like back in 2017. I don't care. I'll take it. I'll take it as long as I can see Crystal, Fox, Falco, and Slippy in HD.
If I can see Crystal, and especially Crystal, nothing like it. Crystal.
Yeah, exactly. Get your slider sandwiches today.
Yeah.
But if I can just have a new Star Fox game, please, in HD.
Also, can we get a new F-Zero?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people would actually like.
Because there hasn't been an F-Zero game.
Piss and shit themselves constantly.
Since the GameCube.
Which, speaking of which, I was actually gonna say this. Would you agree that the Switch can be compared a lot, like as far as its scheduling with game releases and its scheduling or its games in general? Like and the vibe it gives off too. Would you compare it to the GameCube?
Kind of. It's so different.
It's different
from the rest of what everyone else is doing. That's what's weird about Nintendo. Sometimes them doing stuff that's different from everyone else super works.
It's crazy.
And then but then other times you get the Wii U.
Other times you get the GameCube, actually.
But yeah, and then other times you get the GameCube. They're like the most underdog, or not underdog, like surprise. Like, come out of nowhere and make the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, person.
And it's funny because it sold the least amount of units for its generation.
Yeah.
But
everyone looks back on it like it's the best thing, like it's freaking crack cocaine.
Exactly. Like, it's like a Van Gogh situation where the GameCube didn't get all of its recognition until after it was already dead.
Yeah, that cute little lunchbox.
Like, I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest though. I'm gonna have to say I hate the Switch. They did not make a new sports game. They made 1-2 Switch. 0 out of 10. I'm gonna have to. I don't want to milk a cow. I want to play bowling.
I want to play bowling. I don't want.
I want to fly the plane around the little island again and shoot balloons.
That's beautiful.
That's
I want to shoot them in HD.
That was the best Wii game ever.
But
Where's Galaxy 3?
Please.
Just complain about everything. Yeah. Where's Persona 5?
You know that's not coming.
It's not.
You know that's
they would
not
have announced.
coming.
They would have announced it by now. I would have bought it again though. But no, don't worry. I'm buying it again for P5R. So perfect. But anyways, a lot of great Switch games.
The Switch is still doing good.
It kind of has a weird, like, it kind of has a bit of a Wii though with the shovelware that kind of gets thrown onto the eShop at times.
Not as bad though.
Yeah, no, but you get some of them. Like, I'm not saying it's as bad, but you still get some of it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, here's a game for a penny. And then it tops the best-selling games, obviously. Which is so weird to me. Like, what the heck? And obviously you got Smash Bros. Any console with Smash Bros. Is probably going to do pretty good.
Yeah.
Which means basically everything that they've ever done ever.
Yeah, pretty much. Ninth generation has not happened, so.
PS5, Xbox 2, Switch again. Switch is probably going to keep going on for a little bit more.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, because I mean they've already teased when Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's pretty much Breath of the Wild 2. What else? Can we get some Mario Odyssey deals? Please.
I think. Did you remember that picture that went viral the other day?
Yeah, I remember it. But please.
I think it's gonna be Sunshine DLC.
I hope so bad. It'd be amazing.
Like people really want it. They really want it.
We've been saying it since it freaking came out.
Yet.
It hasn't happened.
I mean, yeah.
But anyways.
So.
Also, real quick, just to talk about PS4 a bit more. Where's Sly 5? Where's Sly Cooper 5?
Can we get it, please?
You had that movie deal. You had that movie in mind.
Did it get canceled?
I think it did. I think it was one of those things where it got silently canceled. That's what I feel like happened. Because they released that one trailer, and that trailer looked pretty good.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
I preferred Murray's original design, and Sly Cooper's voice actor wasn't the same as the games, but it was still really good.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I think it's.
I actually completely forgot that existed.
Oh no, I remember. I always remember. I think it got either it got silently canceled way before this happened, or it died because Ratchet and Clank movie didn't do as good as people thought it would.
Yeah, which it was a decent movie.
It was an alright movie, honestly.
The game was really good. I love the game.
I thought the game was pretty fun as well. I still haven't. I haven't played the original, but I plan to at some point.
Yeah.
Because I heard it's really good.
What, the original Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah, I like the original games.
If you want to, yeah, if you want to borrow it, you can.
Yeah, I'll just steal your PS2.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
just steal your whole library.
Just wake up one morning and just shelves are on the floor.
Everything's gone. Oh yeah, handhelds.
Oh yeah. Switch.
Switch with. But no, the 3DS before the Switch, the 3DS was really really good. Super Mario 3D Land.
Star Fox 64 3D.
Heck yeah. More Pokemon.
Pokemon.
As usual.
Pilot Wings Resort was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was pretty fun. There's some decent RPGs. Also, they added Virtual Console for handheld games, kind of. So you can play like original Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow.
Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D.
Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds.
I love that game. I played the heck out of it when I first got it. What else?
What are we missing?
Persona Q2 coming soon. There's so many games I'm trying to think of, but they're not coming into my head. Oh, Phoenix Wright. That got the whole trilogy It's
one of my
pretty much
favorites.
the whole series is on 3DS at this point, which is pretty cool.
Oh, Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Oh, New Leaf, yeah, I did play New Leaf.
Totally not searching up 3DS games right now.
Yeah, well, listen, the Switch is taking our brain away from it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rhythm Heaven. It had like a big collection kind of game. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
It had a bunch of old ones.
Mario Kart 7.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart.
Luigi's
Mansion Dark Moon. There you go.
Yeah, Dark Moon was really good.
Dank Moon.
Mario Maker on 3DS.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Mario Maker on the Wii U. The game that actually used the gamepad really, really well.
Yeah, it utilized it beautifully.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, that basically revived the entire franchise. By the way.
Yeah, the only Fire Emblem I played. It was
Tomodachi Life.
pretty good. Yo, Tomodachi Life's awesome. Oh
Um,
yes, Mario Brothers.
Oh,
Okay, Cameron pulled up a list. He just typed in 3DS games on Google, and on the most popular first list, you scroll through enough, and you just find Mario Brothers, 1983. Oh yeah, Donkey Kong Country got a port. Detective Pikachu, obviously.
yeah, I love that game.
Classic.
Bravely Default was really
Metroid:
good.
Samus Returns.
That was a good one too. Kirby's Epic Yarn was on
Monster
there.
Hunter.
Kid Icarus Uprising basically brought
Yeah, brought back Kid Icarus after Brawl kind of teased the idea of like, hey, look, this character, he's cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Really? Isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we covered just about it. Wait a minute, we forgot a console.
Oh hell yeah, the Virtual Boy.
You didn't see that, but I pointed behind Cameron's head and he turned around and saw the Virtual Boy.
So, boy howdy.
It was the first, I would say the first really big Nintendo flop.
Yeah. It's good
of a
though.
console.
I'd say it's good. I mean, yeah, the design is bad, but
Yeah, it has no head strap.
it has no head strap.
You gotta make your own.
So basically, if you want to know anything about the Virtual Boy, all you have to do is just look at it. But it was this weird.
You can hold the whole library in the palm of your hand.
You can.
And I'm not saying that as if that's a convenience compliment. That's not a compliment of convenience. It did not have a lot of games.
It really didn't. I have 2 of them.
That's good.
One of them is actually really fun. The other is okay. Mario Tennis is okay.
Yeah, I played that a little bit. It was fine.
Red Alarm is really fun though. But it was, and we're going way back to like the 5th generation, so this is like
This is
Saturn, PS1, and 64 era.
mhm.
And it was a very interesting game console, and it of course flopped commercially and critically.
Yeah.
It's a fun system though. The controller is really nice. I like the controller.
That controller actually is kind of cool. I think the controller is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it and if you look at it, it looks a lot like an early prototype of a GameCube controller.
Yeah, honestly, it does look like a what was that company? The cats that made
Mad Catz.
Mad Cat. It reminds me of the Mad Catz GameCube controllers, which I
Um,
have, and the B buttons jam. So thank you, Mad Catz. No wonder you went out of business. My thoughts exactly to them going out of business.
Yeah, yawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only console I ever had one of the controllers for was the GameCube.
That's fair. I had a PS2 Mad Catz controller.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Virtual Boy was. It was okay.
It was all right.
It was a really wacky idea for the time, and basically what it was
red.
it was yeah, but it was also it was the first 3D handheld console technically. Its graphics were only in red and black though, so that was what people hated about it.
Yeah, only green and black here, folks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just goes yeah.
Green and black would just work better together, you know?
Yeah. It has a lot of decent games on it though.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I got into a battle with this guy, and the first thing he says to me is, "Splash!"
Splash.
Thank you, swimmer male Lewis. With your horsey. Oh yeah, we are talking about the Game & Watch.
Oh yeah, I don't have that, but oh yeah. That was the first Nintendo handheld, And it
And,
did,
and they won the handheld war that year.
yeah, because no competition.
And we don't say that like it was that good. There was nothing else.
And it was.
And he got into Smash Brothers. The end.
Yep. That's the Game Award. I mean, there's not much to say about it. It was just a collection.
It was good.
It was just a collection of a bunch of small handheld consoles that had like different games on them. Like there was a Donkey Kong Game & Watch. There was a Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. There was a Super Mario Bros. Game & like all kinds of them.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, that's pretty much everything. We didn't talk about the TurboGrafx 16, but
I've actually played one TurboGrafx 16 game. Actually, it was on the Virtual Console for the Wii.
what was it?
I don't remember what it was called, but it allowed for 6 players. It was like an RPG. It was a top-down RPG game.
Wow.
It was. I don't know what compelled me to buy it, but I still have it on my Wii/Wii U, I guess. Although I can't re-download it. The shop is dead.
Oh, that sucks.
Dead. It's dead. They put it in the ground.
That sucks.
Rip.
I know Bonk's Adventure and Keith Courage was on there, and Splatterhouse was also on there.
I mean,
That's the only 3 games that I know of on TurboGrafx 16 that were decent.
Yeah. I mean, Virtual Console. Thank God it brought it back a bit. And WiiWare. WiiWare was cool.
Oh yeah,
I never got any WiiWare games, honestly. I can't remember any I got. But it's not because it was bad. I got Phoenix Wright on Wii. Actually, no, I got Phoenix Wright on WiiWare. Heck yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty good, honestly.
I mean, yeah. Oh, jeez.
Hey, look, there's Misty.
Wow. Oh.
And then her guardian's like, you? Misty won't have to be bothered. Calm down. It's her job to battle people.
Misty won't have to be bothered.
Calm down. It's her job to get battled.
Picnicker Deanna.
Well, here's a little ditty for you, Deanna. So I'm gonna jack you up. Oh no, tail whip.
Oh no.
Alright, how about you eat some razor sharp leaf?
My gosh.
And you're dead. Nice. But yeah, I think we've covered all the consoles.
So what was your favorite? What's your favorite generation?
Probably because I just started with it, but GameCube, PS2, Xbox, those.
Yeah.
That generation.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
Probably because I started with it, but there's just a lot of good games.
Yeah, there's just a lot of it. Plus, everything was just unique, and it felt like a true console war. Also, Misty, honey.
Looks like she's freaking dancing in a club.
No, it looks like her arm is coming out of her head.
It is.
Some 90-degree
That's
angle.
like Daisy's third eye.
Some 90-degree. It's funny because my copy of Melee doesn't even. For those who don't know, in Melee.
Only in Melee.
Only in Melee. And only certain copies of Melee, actually. There's a trophy that you can get in the game that has Daisy on it. And it's the Daisy trophy. And you can zoom in to trophies and clip through their hair sometimes. And if you clip through her hair and just view her bald head, there's just a third eye on the back of her head. So, on my copy of Melee, it doesn't do that though. So I must have a later copy.
Like your original copy or like the copy I gave you?
Both.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Because like I don't know if my copy has it. Yeah, I didn't play a lot of Melee. Honestly, I played more Brawl.
Yeah.
With my older cousin and sister. He would always beat us with Ike.
One thing I love about Melee is its competitive scene. It's awesome. I love it. I love watching. It's like watching art.
It's like watching art. It's like watching real fighting.
It's like just pure art. Like especially old Melee, like from 2002 to like 2006.
Yeah, where people would travel around for all the tournaments.
Oh yeah.
Just for Melee.
Just for Melee.
It was cool like that.
And they still do it. It's still competitive and everything, and it's fun.
Yeah, it was at Evo for years, and then they were like, "No, we're not gonna do this year." And then everyone was like, "No!" Which I don't blame them, because I mean, it's kind of their life.
Yeah,
they love that game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
Water pulse.
But it's like 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover in this episode. I wanted to just talk about like every single generation of game consoles and just what was good about them, what was bad about them, and some fun facts. You know, just something informative and I guess fun.
Yeah. I mean, we got to the best character in Pokemon.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. And honestly, we could do this. I think we could do this again. We could play this game whenever we're doing another topic, and we could
talking about whatever.
Yeah, talking about whatever, and just play this, and until we beat it.
Pretty much.
And then we can just move on to another Pokemon game.
Or just whatever game, really.
Or whatever, you know, whatever pops up.
Yeah. Let me actually save.
So.
Sadly, E did not evolve yet.
Aw.
There's Cameron, I'm going to delete your save file.
Ooh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Rip. Rip.
This game is good because unlike Black and White, you can delete your save file whenever you want. In Black and White, you have to delete it at the freaking main menu. So if you start a new game and start playing it for a while, it'll be like, I'm sorry, you can't. There's a save file. Please get rid of all your progress. Found that one out the hard way.
I did too, actually. I remember that.
Yeah.
That shit sucked.
That was stupid. I don't know why I designed it like that.
All right. Well, I think this is a good stopping point. For those of you who viewed the video, viewed the live stream, I appreciate it.
Yes. We're watching on the YouTube.
Yes.
Dang, we got 3 Pokemon in the decks.
That's beautiful.
And I have almost $5,000.
Oh my god.
Good job, Gene Rat. I don't know what determines your ID number.
I don't know either.
I'm sure it's random integers.
Probably.
Because that's how coding works.
Yeah.
If it's not an important number, who cares? Just get rid of it. Just put whatever.
So I think we're gonna do this every weekend. Just have a different topic for everyone. And
honestly, just stream whatever. Honestly.
Or just stream whatever. Yeah, just whatever.
How we do it.
Monday, I'll probably stream. See, I don't know. I'll think of something. I'll think of something to stream.
Play Fallout 3.
Oof. See, I would.
Honestly, it's sometimes more stable on console.
Yeah.
In my experience with 360, I don't know about PS3, but
PS3 sucks.
that's our review, ladies and gentlemen.
PS3 sucks.
Hey, it had Sly 4.
Hey, it has Sly 4, but PS3 sucks.
The Vita had Sly 4. And Persona 4.
Alright, well, that's pretty much the stream.
What a good stream.
I will see you guys Monday, and you guys can see Braden next weekend, maybe.
Unless college says no. Hopefully not. It's the second week, so. See ya.
Bye.